This video will cover all the bass parts that appear in the song. The tuning used in this video and on the record is standard E and 440 wavelength calibration. The bass guitar is going to follow a 2-measure long riff pattern that's going to repeat itself pretty much throughout the entire song. We're going to start out by placing the 3rd finger on the A string at the 5th fret. This is a D note. We're going to pick this down on 1 of the 1st measure and let it ring out for nearly half a measure. What we have here is a quarter note tied to a dotted 8th note. On the final 16th note, right after 2, we're going to pick that D note up. On 3, we're going to pick this D note again for a 3rd time down. That's going to ring out as an 8th note. On the and beat right after 3, we're going to go to the 3rd fret with your 1st finger on the same string. This is a C note. We're going to pick this up and let it sustain out as a quarter note. To finish up the 1st measure, we're going to pick the C note again upwards on the last 8th note of the measure. With the 4-count lead in, here's what the 1st measure is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now we start the 2nd measure. We're going to go to the open E string and pick it down. We're going to let it ring out for almost half a measure. On the final 16th note, right after 2, we're going to pick it upwards, just like the last measure, just a different note. That's a 16th note. On 3, we're going to pick the E string down for a 3rd time. This is another 8th note. We're going to finish up the 2nd measure by playing 3 more 8th notes on the G, which is the 1st finger on the E string at the 3rd fret. This will be counted and 4 and picked up, down, up, just like this. And 4 and. With the 4-count lead in, here's what the 2 measures in sequence are going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Let's run through this riff pattern a few times. I'm not going to count it aloud as I play it. I'm just going to give you the 4-count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're listening closely to the very start of this song, you're going to notice that it starts out with a beat on the snare, accompanied by a strike on the open hi-hats at the same time. The drummer will then accent on a crash cymbal and hit the bass drum at the same time. That's the point at which the guitars and bass enter the song. The snare beat, hi-hat beat that actually start the song are on 4. If you're playing with a band, you're going to need somebody in the band to cue in the rest of the group. Generally, it's the drummer's job to do this. The drummer usually steps up, takes command, and leads and directs the team through it. In this case, the drummer will give a 3-count with the sticks. The drummer will hold the sticks up high and click 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Hit that snare and hi-hat on 4, and the rest of the band is on the same page to start on 1 of the next measure. Whoever's starting the song has to keep in mind that when they're leading into the song, they're setting the tempo of the song. You have to visualize the song before you start it. If you key it in too fast or slow, the band is going to play it too fast or slow. The main riff pattern will be repeated 4 times during the verses of the song. At the end of the 4th pass through, we're going to do a little fill that's going to accent with the drums to signal a change in the music into the pre-chorus. We're going to start the second measure of the pattern out the same way in that 4th pass, but instead of ending it with 3 eighth notes on G like this, and 4 and, we're going to go up here to the 10th fret with that first finger on the same string. This is a D note. We're going to pick it up on the and beat after 3, which is an 8th note. We're going to pick it staccato, which means choppy. On 4, we're going to pick that same note down. We're going to let that sustain as a quarter note, and we're going to be sliding down in pitch as we do it. With the 4-count lead in, this is what the measure is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're playing along to an actual studio recording that's on a CD, you're going to want to pay close attention to the dynamics of the drummer. Through the verses, the drummer is playing steady 8th note timing on the hi-hats, just like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The hi-hats are closed and they're real soft. The drummer's going to do this all the way up until the point at which the bass fills. On 4 of that measure, the drummer will hit the hi-hat open and pause for a quarter of a beat. And at that exact point when he hits the hi-hat open, he's going to hit the snare. That's the point where you want to slide on the bass guitar. On 1 of the next measure, the drummer is going to accent on the crash cymbal with the bass drum and resume those steady 8th note beats on the hi-hats. This time they're going to be open and it's going to be a lot louder. It's going to change the entire feel of the song. If you're working with a drummer that pays attention to these details and does them, you're going to love working with the guy. This is what the verses are going to sound like. This bass fill is going to appear 3 times in the song, once to end each respective verse. The first time will be at 44 seconds. The second time will be at 1 minute and 50 seconds. The final time will be at 3 minutes and 18 seconds. One note on that final fill to end the 3rd verse. After we do the slide on 4, we're going to play an additional open E string on the final 8th note of that measure. The last thing that we need to discuss is the outro and the ending of the song. The outro begins 4 minutes and 3 seconds. This is the point at which the chorus begins to repeat itself for a second time through. We're going to play the riff pattern exactly the same way on the first pass through. On the second pass through, we're going to change the first measure to do a fill that is unique only to this part of the song. This will happen at 4 minutes and 9 seconds. We're going to start out the first measure the same way, just like this. 1, 2, and 3. What we're going to do at this point is slide up to the 7th fret on that same string with your 3rd finger. We're not picking that note, we're just sliding up. This is on the and beat. On the beat, we're going to take that first finger and go to the D string on the 5th fret. We're going to pick that down. What we have here is a series of 3 triplets counted 3 and a, just like this. 3 and a. Notice the picking motion, down, slide, down. 3 and a. On 4, we're going to go back to the A string at the 7th fret with that 3rd finger. We'll pick this down and sustain that out as a quarter note as we're sliding down in pitch. With the 4-count lead in, this is what that one measure with the fill is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and a 4. Okay, just to eliminate any confusion, let's run through the first 4 measures of the outro. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... Now the last thing we need to know is how to end the song. We're going to go through this progression 4 times during the chorus. The same is true during the outro. We just made an adjustment on the second pass to do that fill in the first measure. We're going to make another adjustment. On the 4th pass through, we're just going to hit an open E string on the beginning of that second measure, let it ring out and fade away. This is what this is going to sound like right from the top.